Please leave your please leave your
Sorry for taking this long while still live because I have some technical problem issue or yeah problem here. I'm trying to see how I can overcome it, and I think I've overcome that. Well, once again, you are welcome to the session of marriage and psychology, and we've gone thus far trying to see what is happening and what we need to do, and how things, somehow, happen to us, and we sometimes don't know why they happened, especially in our marriages. We ended up with issues that are more mental or psychological, or even in a way that result to physical. But we don't want to pray for such to happen, and that's why uh, uh, Replica Church decided to have an opening for such to be aired out, to see how families are helped, those are already married and those who are about to marry. So of course, as you know, we've talked a lot. We've gone so far, to touch, bases as regards to uh, how, when you marry, what happened, or even before you got married, what happened. When are we supposed to get ready? When are we supposed to, take note of this, or when are we supposed to pay attention to what and not? And so that's why last week I, kind of helped us to, anchor the discussion on codependency. And of course, we know that, as a result of that, some homes are rendered, kind of inactive and not functioning, simply because one person has dominated the other, or one person is so much depending on the other. If without the other person, then nothing is going to work at home. Especially, if you have a man who is so dependent on his wife's, opinions, on his wife's choices, on his wife's, interests, expectations. So definitely, it's not going to be kind of easy for such home to kind of thrive, in a more equally yoked way. But we've seen the dangers of it, and symptoms of those, happenings. Today, I just want us to focus on another area that normally, whether we like it or not, is always there. And as a result of it, some marriages are dead. Why? Because uh, too much of it, or unrealistic, expectations, happens. So, and that's why, um, because we didn't take note of that. And so I just want to kind of today anchor the this area of our marriage that we needed to kind of pay attention to: expectations. Our expectations in marriage. Um, I don't want to believe that there's a marriage that does not have expectation. So every marriage have expectation. Any marriage that does not have expectation is not a living, and of course, is not working marriage. Meaning that marriage is not alive, is not really functioning, is not healthy. Something is wrong somewhere, because it is expected that every marriage should be focused on gold, a goal driven, marriage, have a purpose, have a focus. So, when you want to celebrate something, definitely it means you have planned for it, and that's why you are celebrating it now. So celebrating success or accomplishment, will be determined by the way you have shaped your marriage, you know because we shape our marriage, from day one. We shape our marriage sometimes even before we start the home, coming, or the home setting. We shape our marriage by that, by those expectations. So, and that's why it is very, very important for us to know, because there are people who have today are not together, or probably the home has suffered a lot, or the marriage is even normal. Why? Because of unmet expectations. Why? Because we we come when we allow, expectations that are not being um, structured or are not being planned together. So sometimes, such expectations that are not met, by the other person, or some kind of, the other person is having high expectation from the other person, but because they are not met, and so that person feels like, no, I don't want to be in this type of marriage. But unfortunately, because they didn't know what to do or what to expect, so definitely you don't want to expect something that you have not planned for, or there are realities, of course, there are realities that we should expect. So sometimes it's when realities come, or realities, somehow bounce our way, then it's either to accept it as a reality, or to kind of take a look at it and play around it, and so that it would really fit in or suit our goal, our goal setting, or our focus as a couple. So, and that's why today, I feel like for us to kind of look at those areas that are we need to take note of it, or kind of talk about it. And like I always say, you are free to ask questions. You are free to, raise, issue about it. So, or make a comment. If you want to make a comment, let me know. Just, um, post your comment there so that I can put it out there. So, expectation, as someone would put it, that as the relationship changes and evolves, it grows only by accepting and fulfilling reasonable expectations, which, they're out there. A lot of expectations from each, person, or each a couple. So, what are those expectations? What are those expectations? That this is because, like I said, if your expectation is unrealistic, if it's not achievable, if it's not really, something that you can, in a way, quantify it, then sometimes it's difficult to kind of, but like I said, there's still, a reality, comes our way. But expectations like giving birth, you know because if the people plan whether to have a child or not. Some people, again, without even planning, but they expect to be as one of those, expectations in their marriage. And for those who are planning for it, for those who are coming with this and without talking or discussing about it, to say that, hey, I want to have a child. Well, but in case it didn't come, or what happened, how do we go about this? So because there was no conversation, around that, and so when you come into the marriage, and 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 10 years, no child, then the next thing is there will be like kind of a drift from one of those who is having a high expectation of a child, because the child is not coming, is not forthcoming, and without even taking action about it, like, okay, let's go to the hospital and check ourselves and see what is wrong. But without doing that, and before resentment, and of course, before it results to depression, and before it results to hatred, and before enmity, kind of take over the marriage. But the root cause is because she wanted a child, or he wanted a child, but nobody's hearing about the child. But or the only thing people see is like, she is bad, she is dead, or he is bad, he is wicked, he is that. But the root cause is because the expectation of having a child is not met. And that's why, it happens. But let's, kind of delve into some of these uh, things that we need to kind of put into, or what we should expect to see them happening, or yeah, happens in marriage. So that's a lady, a psychologist who proposes this to say that yeah, in marriage there are the following are kind of form our expectations. So number one is like kind of our commitment in the marriage. So how do you commit yourself? What is your commitment? Because there are marriages that sometimes probably is just because I was forced into it, or because someone was an arranged marriage. So because of that, one party is not committed to the whole thing because he doesn't care or she doesn't care because she wasn't really part of the deal. But somehow she's in the marriage, or my mom planned that, or my dad planned that, my friends planned that, or my church planned that, something like that. So when there's no commitment in that marriage, because this is one of the expectations that you should have as a healthy marriage. A healthy marriage should expect that both parties are committed to the marriage. And another thing is verbal affection. Verbal affection. I know that some in this case culture plays a lot in this, because in some cultures, I mean, husband and wife don't really have time to sit and to talk. And so in that case, because there's no time to sit and talk or to have a conversation, then definitely you should expect that, you know, there will be no connection, there will be no intimacy, because intimacy doesn't just happen like that. Intimacy, start from that, communication, as we talked about, a few time ago or last year, so to say. But now commitment in the marriage is one thing that some would really place it as their high expectation, and of course verbal expectation, affection, sorry, how you talk, how you present your words, or how you kind of you know it could be like, oh, honey, or I love you, or babe, or you know I mean, all those kind of verbal affection, that affectionate, affectionate conversation, it's expected to be there, you know because it'll help to cement the marriage. Then of course another thing is compassion and empathy for each other's feelings. It's another expectation. you know you should expect that there should be there should be compassion, there should be empathy, I mean, there should be focusing on the feelings, like it's not like it's not all about the marriage, but there should be, you should be able to kind of empathy. I mean, something happened, or she's been, oh honey, I'm sorry that that happened. Oh honey, oh, I'm sorry that this, oh, is that what happened? Or some kind of way of trying to show that it really you care. You know, there should be that expectation in our marriages. Of course, the next thing is consideration for each other's differences. Sorry, it is also expected that we are not the same. Since we are not the same, now it is also expected that we should accept one another. We should respect one another's feelings. We should give each other that value of purpose to really show that yes, that person is, or both of you are really committed to the marriage, because definitely there should be always compassion and empathy for each other's feelings. You don't want to just, you don't want to close your eyes to that. You don't want to pretend that you don't see, or you don't really understand what that person is feeling, but instead you want to put yourself into that feeling, to feel the way he's feeling, feel the way she's feeling, so that can cement, that can allow that marriage to flow health wise, because it's only the dead that cannot really have motion, that they cannot really feel anything, or stone or whatever. But any living being, any person that is living, should have feelings. So definitely, as couple, we need to have compassion and empathy, for each other's feelings. So definitely that's that. As I mentioned, respect, of course, is something that is very, very important, that we should expect. We should respect one another, respect each other. Of course, a consideration for or spending quality time with, oh my God, this one, very, very important. Very, very important. Spending time, spending quality. When I say time, I don't mean time, quality time, spending quality time with each other while understanding that, both of you, or I mean, each one of you, you have commitment. You need to go here, you need to go there. But definitely, you know, is that, because I expect, the other person, we both of you, you should have that expectation that you're going to spend a quality time. So it is very, very important for you to know that, yeah, you know when this is not seen, when that person see that, oh, because I expected for us to sit together, watch TV together, go out together, you know if there's a child in the house, sit together sometimes, take care of this child together, spending quality time. It should be an expectation of a healthy home. Another expectation is showing interest in each other and what each is involved with, including opinions, ideas, work, and activities. Take for example, for example, um, your pal or your buddy, you know, likes to watch, soccer or American football, so to say, or likes to go, cinema. And if definitely when you don't show interest in this person's, it becomes a problem because that person is coming with that expectation. So that's why you got to know the expectation of each other so that it'll definitely work for you. And this one is serious. The next one that I'm going to say is serious. Showing interest, physical closeness, hugging, holding hands, touching, and other simple physical gestures count and are vital no matter what the couple's sexual life is like. Now, remember we talked about, sexual, driving from each one another, from each other. Then definitely when it comes to physical closeness, and that ties the real thing as regards to intimacy. Intimacy is more kind of um, visually seen in how physical we are, we are connected. So definitely, I know that's something that also culturally that's a boundary that's pushed back sometimes to these things. You know, Africans, we are not good in hugging, we are not good in, sometimes we're good in holding hands, of course, but we're not good in touching, we're not good in sometimes, some kind of physical gestures, words. Words is what we are basically, aligned to. We so much aligned to words, you understand each other. We try to understand each other by word, but our gesture, our body language speaks aloud. It speaks aloud. So definitely, it's an expectation that should be there. And of course, when I say should be there, because that's what some of them are bringing into the marriage. Because now, you don't want to touch me. The person would think that he's not good. He's bad. Probably he will be thinking, or probably he has something that you don't want or you don't like about him, or in her or in him. So definitely, that sense, it sends a lot of signals, when it comes to hugging, holding of hands, touching, and some kind of physical, intimacy, you know. But when that is not there, it is always a problem. It's always a problem because if it is not met, if it is not there, because the person expects to see that. So when the person doesn't see that, and now he feels, no, I'm not going to continue with this marriage. I'm not going to continue with this marriage. I'm done. I'm out of this because I cannot be in a marriage that I would just be sitting there and he doesn't like me or she doesn't like me. But when I try to touch her, she doesn't want me to touch her. But in some cultures, it's okay, it's fine, it's fine. But to kind of encourage you, whatever culture is or you belong to, I want to encourage that to say that hugging, holding hands, touching, and other simple physical gestures, it helps. It sends signal. It sends signal of being there, being present, being in the moment, being in the world of the person. It helps. And definitely, because it's not only when you want to have sex, or let me say when we want to have intercourse, because sex, hugging could form part of your sex, touching could form part of your sex, you know, verbal affection could form part of your sex, but it's not only when you want to just go into bed and ask her, are you ready? Here I come. Okay, let's do it. No, you know but I want to encourage, put this together. You will see some kind of things happens, uh, um, because I believe these are some people's expectation. And of course, another thing is some people are generous. Generosity of thought, spirit, action, you know and of course, and other things. Generosity, you know some there should be that expectation of generosity. People want to see, that you are generous. People want to see that you are generous in in your spirit, because yeah, you're full of, yeah, I mean, sense of, emotion. You're emotionally like kind of present. You're emotionally like kind of there. Put some kind of sensual moments, to each other. It's an expectation that some have. Some they don't care. But like I said, some marriages, are normal. They are not together simply because those expectations are not met. So we don't want to pay attention to that. But you want to pay attention to every detail of your marriage. Pay attention to every detail of your marriage, because there are expectations. And of course, another thing, acknowledging that there are other important people in each part, other's life. Friends, family, colleague at work, and other things. When you don't acknowledge, because I remember one of the couple that I kind of helped. You know, the lady said, "Hey, he doesn't want to go nowhere with me. He doesn't want to visit my family. He doesn't want to visit my friends. He doesn't want to go. He doesn't want to go nowhere with me." See, now, because she felt that when this expectation is not met, as far as she's concerned, you are creating a wound, you're hurting her. Or if it is him, if you're not, you're hurting him. So that's why we need to pay attention to, we need to kind of know that in every marriage there is always expectation. And any marriage, or a marriage that has no expectation, that does not expect, then definitely, you know, you should expect, a focusless marriage, a marriage that is not working, is not functioning. You want to have a marriage that is functioning, right? So if you want a marriage that is functioning, you have to be intentional in what you're doing. You got to be intentional. You got to be alive. You got to be active in that. So that's why, I thought about that. I'm like, yeah, we got to talk about this. It's a discussion that we got to have it. So expectations, are real. And that's why, when I talked about, expecting a child, or to give birth, definitely is one of those, things that, if when you don't talk about it, you don't mention it, and you come into the marriage and you're waiting and waiting and waiting, it's not coming. And before you know, this person start to pull back, before you know, the person, start to, try to kind of zip up, to kind of close, remain, mute. Why? What is that? This is the problem, but the person is not saying it. Why? Because it's not forthcoming. So But the truth is, you want to put your expectations, in focus. You want to put your expectations, as real, that they will come. They will eventually come. Perhaps you might say, "Oh well, I don't care," but it'll matter. It'll matter when it becomes serious. So these are expectations that definitely you would want to expect, or individually we may have. And of course, and something that I didn't mention also, like making time and creating opportunities to have fun and laugh together. Well, some of you that I don't know, some of you that know me, sometimes, maybe because now I'm not probably like before, but I like to smile a lot. I like to laugh a lot. So now I would be expecting that from my spouse. So, but if it is not there, before you know, my self-esteem begin to lower down, begin to diminish. Why? Because even when something that I laugh about, my spouse, is not laughing with me, so it kind of creates some kind of, or creating opportunities, like, oh, you want to now, make something work, around the house or outside the house, if it is, job that your husband doesn't have. If you have the opportunity to create it, if it's your wife, if you have the opportunity to create it, right? But the issue is, making time, to make time, and to create, opportunities. And sorry, I didn't make emphasis on the time. Listen, there are people who are time oriented, people are time conscious, and guess what? I'm one of those guys. Because for me, if you want to kill me, if you want to, mess up with me, make time with me. We would make an appointment and tell me that, okay, 10 o'clock, I'll be there 5 minutes, 10 minutes before the time. And if it's from home, the issue is, you want to make it there, but because the husband is the type that is not time conscious, to put on just to wear his shoes, it takes him 10 minutes to just put on the shoes. you know, to put on just a shirt. It takes him enough. So the same thing with women. I know that virtually women are fond of doing that. And of course, listen, I just want to say this to you, my sister. Don't blame him, because I know we are more, when it comes, I think men are more time oriented sometimes, but there are women who are good, also in keeping to time. But I'm saying it, when you see husband and wife out there with frown face. They are in the car, the same car, and coming out walking to the church with frown face. Don't ask it. Don't say that's a problem, because the husband wanted them to be there at this time, or the wife wanted it to be there at this very particular time, but one of them could not in any way meet up with the time. So why? Time, and opportunities, expectations that we would always have in our. One other thing is uh, open communication and sincere listening to each other. Open communication. When I say open, I mean, I don't mean to say, well, okay, we got something to talk. Honey, we got something to talk. This is more formal. But be open, be natural in whatever you're doing, so that organically you guys can grow together, you guys can build your home together. So expectations are really some things that are realities. But some things that are realities, that wish that are expectations, that sometimes you cannot control it. Death, sickness, and other things. Some accidents that can just occur. You don't have control over those things. Definitely, you don't have control over it. But they are realities. So when they happen, what do you do? But when because for you to have I mean, to take note of that, and to have an attention to that, because when death happen in the family, the issue is, you start to is she or is he? He is, I know he doesn't talk. Because he doesn't talk now, it's been all this while they've been married. He's secretive. He is this. He did it or she did it, or because of your secrecy in terms of a relationship with someone out there. You guys are not doing things together. You guys don't make time together. You guys don't go out together. There is not that physical closeness. Then definitely when something happens, you begin to suspect. Each other. But the issue is these are expectations that you have no control over them. But the ones that you have control over them, you want to make sure you see them work. You want to see them, happen. So it's my, prayer, is my hope. I will still, next week I will still talk about the expectation. These are expectations that we would, they are realistic expectations. But next week I'm going to talk about what, the unmet. How do we handle unmet expectations? So I'm going to talk about, that one. How can we, help? How can we, take care of that, unmet, expectations? So, but to kind of, round up or conclude by saying, listen, there is no marriage that is not, expecting, or that should not have expectations. We all, not just expectation, but expectations, So any marriage that have no, that doesn't have expectation, so definitely that marriage is not functioning. It's not healthy. It means that's a problem. That's a problem. So I pray, that as you, try to see how you thrive in your marriage and how you flourish in that marriage, have it at the back of your mind that yes, you must have a goal, and your marriage should be a goal-driven one, so that that way you'll be checking yourself, what's working and what's not working. A marriage should be, an intentional, institution, not just something that you don't have a plan over it. You just have to have a plan. You just have to have a plan. I know that I mean, that's the only way we can know it. That's the only way we can know it, and that's why we're doing this to kind of alert us, or kind of give us some reminder to say that, hey guys, marriage must have a focus. Marriage must have a goal. So yeah, thank you. I can see my sister Stella, agreeing and affirming to what I've been saying. So thank you for your time. You can share it always, with your friends. Just anytime you jump in, just share with your friends. So watch next week as we talk about, handling unmet, expectations. So share anytime you come on board, try to share with a friend that you have. All right. Thank you, Replica Church, for having us to kind of educate ourselves and get informed in some of the things that can better our marriage and that can help us even as we try to live a healthy marriage. Bless you all. Thank you so much for your time. Let's make a time next week. Have a wonderful day. I know for some of us, they are now getting evening, but for some of us, it's just fresh, starting of the day. Bye bye. Bless you all.